squander the chance, so to speak. We are likely to let any other person take away the opportunities that we are not seeing. So one key thing that you'll be interested to see is that Kenya as a country, and my colleague will be showing that, we export to Africa more than any other markets in the world. Our exports as compared to imports into the continent, we are doing pretty well as a country into Africa. As I said, more than any other block of countries, whether you are looking at Europe, whether you're looking at USA, in terms of value, we are doing pretty well. So if we are not very careful as entrepreneurs, as I said, then we might be biased to look at a dollar that comes from Europe or a dollar that comes from Middle East or any other, and not the dollar that comes from within. Also, look at why are we moving to this, we are calling the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. It's purely because of the opportunities that are there. So my colleague will help us to just appreciate the opportunities that are available and why we should focus a little bit in Africa for various reasons. One of those facts that I know all of us may have appreciated, if you've not appreciated, know from this moment going ahead that Africa as a market has a very beautiful population of 1.58 as estimates for this year. Why is that important? It is important because people buy products and people consume products. And that market is also growing. We are told the median for this market is about 19.5 years, meaning this is a population of young people whose consumption is growing. So if you want to sell a product, you must be selling to a market that is, one, it is giving you the opportunity, and the opportunities are growing. Hence, the importance of us just looking at what is it in this continent that we need to run and exploit for our growth. So with those few remarks, I want to welcome my colleague, Kelvin Mugendi, to take us through what we have put together for you to just appreciate and help us, all of us, to run and capture these opportunities that are available. So karibu sana, Kelvin Mugendi.
Thank you so much, Director Ruben. I hope you can hear me from your side.
Yes.
I hope you can hear me clearly
and see you.
Very
Sure.
well. So my name is Kelvin Mugendi, and I work at Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency. I juggle many titles in the agency. When it comes to this activity, this is a trade advisory services activity. And just like our director has said, we felt that it was important we share the opportunities that are there for the African markets with our clients because I think many businesses, especially more small businesses, do not take into account market intelligence before embarking on the process of identifying a business opportunity or an export opportunity. Before you pursue an opportunity, it should be informed by market intelligence. So market intelligence is not a preserve of big businesses alone. It is a preserve of also small businesses. You should be able to identify or to look at market intelligence in terms of trade statistics. You should be able to tell the growth trends, and you should be able to interpret that information in a manner that shows an opportunity for your business. And if there indeed is an opportunity, you should be able to put together the required resources to help you to pursue that opportunity. If in case you find that it does not represent a good opportunity for your business, then you make a decision as as an exporter or a business person that this is not a good market for me, and therefore I am not going to pursue it. So with that, allow me to start with a background of what market intelligence is and how you should go about analyzing market intelligence and making business decisions. So I'm going to be sharing I'll be sharing my screen in a moment. Allow me to do that. Okay. So I hope you can see my screen. Give me a thumbs up if you can, please.
Yes, we can. I can put it into full screen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So this is a practical guide for exporters and any business on how to collect, analyze, and apply market information. Market information to make smarter, evidence-based export decisions, especially within African markets. Okay. So okay. So market intelligence is the process of collecting, analyzing, interpreting, and applying information about markets to support better businesses, better business and export decisions. For exporters, it goes beyond gathering statistics. It means understanding the full picture. So what is the full picture of what you need to ask yourself, what is the full picture of a market before you embark on importing? And what you need to look at, which markets are growing. You need to identify where demand is rising and where opportunities are emerging. That means that you need to look at export data over a period of time. Don't just look in 1 year. Look at a period between 3 to 5 years. You need to understand what buyers want, understand consumer preferences, packaging and purchasing behavior. You also need to ask yourself what standards must be met in the target market that you want to export. So the regulatory requirements, labeling requirements, and certification requirements, and then how prices are changing in the target market that you intend to export. So you track the price movements and logistics costs in that market. So there's a certain process that you need to employ to be able to move data from the stages of data, information, and then intelligence to be able to help you to make informed decisions. So data alone does not guide exporters, okay? Intelligence is created when data is analyzed, interpreted, validated, and connected to business decisions. So let's look at how you move from data through to information and examples, then to intelligence. So an example of data, data can be raw facts or figures without interpretation. And a good example can be Kenya exported 50,000 tons of avocado to market X. Okay, that is data. But that alone is not enough to tell you whether there is market demand for your product, even if you could be producing avocado for that matter. So information, then you can move it to information, which is organized data that begins to show meaning. So in this case, information could be avocado exports to market X increased by 20% over 2 years. You see now you have moved from data to information, that you are seeing there is a growth, okay? That represents an opportunity. But for example, if there was a decline, then that means that market is beginning to have some challenges. Maybe there are new importers or exporters who are taking over Kenya's market share. So then you need to move it now to intelligence. And intelligence is interpreted information used for decision making. Now, intelligence in this case could be rising avocado demand indicates an opportunity to invest in premium packaged avocados. So it is very important to go through the three processes of data analysis up to a point where you have intelligence that tells you, that can help you to make a decision as to whether to pursue a market or not. Now, there are different types of market intelligence, and they are important to exporters. So the first one, market opportunity intelligence, which identifies fast-growing markets, products with increasing demand, untapped niches and emerging consumer trends. For example, growing African demand for processed foods, cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, and digital services. Okay? So you need to look at market opportunity as a type of intelligence which is important to you. The other type of market intelligence which is important to an exporter is consumer intelligence, which focuses on preferences, buying habits, packaging expectations, income levels, and sustainability concerns. An example could be urban African consumers increasingly prefer convenient packaged, ready-to-use products, okay? So you see that now gives you insights as to the kind of consumer that is sitting in a certain market. Then we have competitor intelligence, which reveals who competitors are, their pricing strategies, packaging, distribution systems, and branding strengths. An example of competitor analysis, exporters from Egypt, South Africa, Morocco, and Nigeria may dominate certain product categories, okay? So competitor, you need to know who are you competing with? And when you talk of competition, we are talking about country level competition. So the other type of intelligence is regulatory intelligence. What import procedures are there? Do you have sanitary and phytosanitary requirements, labeling and certification requirements, tariff structures? How are they? Yeah. And ACFTA rules of origin, very, very important. Because if you don't follow the rules of origin, then you will not be eligible to be treated as a for preferential terms. Then we have pricing intelligence, which provides information on competitive price ranges, consumer purchasing power, wholesale retail margins, and freight costs. And finally, we have distribution intelligence, which focuses on importers, distributors, and retail structures, informal trade channels, e-commerce growth, and wholesale systems. So those types of market intelligence are very, very important to an exporter to help him or her make a decision as to whether to enter any market, not just an African market, but any market that you choose to export to. So why does market intelligence matter? Exporting involves a lot of uncertainty. As you can tell, we've had a lot of disruptions even in the recent past. Observing the war on Iran and the consequences that it has had. Remember, when you start exporting, then you open up your business to such kind of uncertainties, and they affect how your business operates. So more than just disruptions in terms of war, we have currency fluctuations. Your target market, you need to check the currency fluctuations. It's very important because they may affect the value or the kind of the value of the product, the value in terms of money that you receive from selling your product. We have policy changes. Policy changes especially happen from time to time. For example, we are going to have the finance bill being read in Kenya. Other countries, they also have their own finance bill that stipulates how the budget is going to be applied, the financing of the budget, and that could affect your operation in that market. And then you have consumer preference shifts. Okay, so consumer preferences keep changing from time to time, especially as you now see, we have new demographics which are coming up. Director Ruben started by saying that the median age of Africa is now about 19.5, and that is the big market that exporters who are looking into Africa are looking at. So they are looking at this young population. They are looking at this young population will need the primary needs. What are going to be their primary needs? What are going to be their secondary needs? And they are able to determine strategies to enter a market. And that is usually very, very important. Then we have competitive pressure. Countries usually have, competitive pressures, and competitive pressure is usually caused by, especially cost advantages, especially when you're exporting. When you're competing in another country, you could find that the cost of production in the competing country is probably slightly lower or higher than what as an exporter, what you experience or what you incur. And so that determines competitive pressure. And then we have logistics disruptions. You all agree that logistics is a key part of export, and therefore market intelligence should be able to provide logistic information to you to support you in making an export decision. So without intelligence, exporters rely on guesswork. So if you rely on guesswork, really, it's like you're not certain on the target market that you're going to pursue, and therefore you are likely to encounter a lot of mistakes. So intelligence reduces risk by enabling informed decisions, anticipating market changes, understanding buyer expectations, and preparing for compliance requirements. Yeah. So intelligence supports market selection by evaluating market size. Very important. Evaluate your market size, the market growth and potential, and ease of entry. How easy is it for me to enter into this market? Assessing competition levels, trade barriers, and logistics. All that is provided by market intelligence. So if you look at a case for Africa, for example, demand changes constantly due to African countries are experiencing a surge in urbanization, population growth, changes in income, lifestyle shifts, technological advancements, and increased health awareness. Okay, so exporters if you track these trends, they can help you to respond earlier, especially to competitors. Okay, so if you look at, for example, value-added agricultural products and packaged foods, there is a growing, due to growing urban populations, there is a growing demand for value-added agricultural products, yeah, within the African market. And especially in the urban centers because of rising urban populations. So what does that mean then for an exporter? What does this represent in terms of demand and in terms of opportunity to export? So we are also seeing pharmaceutical and construction materials, sector growing in the African Continental Free Trade Area market. So infrastructure growth and healthcare investment fuel rising demand. Yeah, we are also seeing a lot of beauty, personal care, and renewable energy. Rising incomes and sustainability awareness create new consumer segments. And in Africa, we're also seeing digital and professional services. Rapid digitization across Africa presents new opportunities for exporting of services. Okay, so when you look at market intelligence, it should also be able to tell you about pricing, how to position yourself in the market, and it should also help you to see or identify a market gap that possibly that you can, using your product, it can offer a solution to that market gap. So when it comes to pricing and product positioning, market intelligence helps exporters answer what price range can consumers afford. It must be very clear to you that this is the price range that this market is able to pay for. Is the product premium or mass market? What packaging size works best? Okay. A premium packaged product may succeed in urban middle-income markets, while smaller, affordable packaging performs better in price-sensitive markets. So that is an example of market intelligence derived from pricing and product positioning. If you look at identifying competitors and markets, good intelligence reveals oversupplied categories, underserved niches, and competitor weaknesses. Okay, it can tell you what are the weaknesses of the competitors, which market niches are not well served, and if competitors focus on bulk exports, opportunities may exist in, it should be tell you whether this product that I'm selling, is it sold in bulk? Is it sold in small quantities? How is it sold? What is the distribution channel which is used to sell my product to the final consumer? So then that should help you to make a decision whether you need a retail-ready packaging, organic or halal certification, or smaller consumer-friendly units. So there are 4 key export failures linked to poor intelligence. And the first one is entering the wrong markets. Choosing market based on assumptions leads to low sales, okay? And excess inventory and high operational losses. A product may succeed domestically, but fail abroad due to different preferences or purchasing power. So you can see people who do not take market intelligence seriously, they are likely to enter into wrong markets, and these are the issues they are likely to encounter. Then we have product mismatch, failing to adapt packaging. Yeah, if you're not keen on how a country or how packaging rules are implemented in your target market, then you are likely to fail to adapt your packaging to that market, and you will not you are likely to end up with a product mismatch. So failing to adapt to packaging, flavor profiles, sizes, branding, or labeling. Consumers in a market may prefer smaller, affordable units. Another may prefer bulk packaging. So it's very important for you to use market intelligence to help you to adapt a product to the target market you're exporting to. Then we have poor pricing decisions. Without pricing intelligence, products become too expensive. People can price themselves out of the markets simply because they did not check out the pricing of target markets. Margins can be unsustainable, or logistic costs, you can underestimate them, quickly making products uncompetitive. Then failure to meet standards. Lack of regulatory intelligence leads to border rejections, delays, financial losses, product recalls, and lasting damage to business reputation. So what makes intelligence actionable? Yeah. What makes intelligence actionable? An exporter needs to be capable of interpreting data to information. You basically take it through the processes of market intelligence, from data to information to market intelligence. So information only becomes useful when interpreted correctly. So you need to understand to interpret market intelligence correctly. Exporters must ask if demand is growing sustainably, which consumers are driving growth, is this seasonal or long-term? Interpretation converts observations into business strategy. So you can see interpretation is very key. Then the other thing is timing. Opportunities favor early movers, okay? So late reactions result in lost market share, increased competition, and reduced profitability. Early movers can build distributor relationships, secure shelf space, and establish brand recognition fast. So, so interpretation, very important for market intelligence. Timing was also very important. It can tell you, market intelligence should be able to tell you the right time to enter into a market. Then validation. Not all market information is reliable, okay? Especially where you have doubts about a certain area in your target market. You need to go ahead and do what you call validation. And how do you validate? Validate using trade statistics, which I shall be presenting to you in a few minutes. Buyer feedback, okay? Buyer feedback can be obtained especially when you visit trade fairs. Industry reports. Industry reports are even now available online. They are also available in trade associations, trade fairs, in market visits, like I have told you, and then chambers of commerce. Check the chambers of commerce in your target market and see, are you able to validate some of the information that maybe you have doubt around? And distributor engagement, yeah? Understand the distributors in the target market, engage them to verify the information that you have. So good intelligence combines multiple sources. So one practical example of identifying a growing market. So scenario 1, an exporter reviews African import statistics and notices rising imports of processed fruit juices, increasing urbanization, expansion of supermarket chains, and growing middle-income consumers. So what is the interpretation for this scenario? The trend suggests rising demand for convenient packaged beverages and potential for premium healthy beverage positioning. Okay. What actionable sites should you derive from this kind of scenario? So introduce new packaging formats, okay? Target urban retail chains, okay, for distribution of your products. Develop healthier product variants, okay? Strengthen branding around natural ingredients. Early identification of this trend allows exporters to establish brand presence before competitors enter the market. So market intelligence should be, every time you are free, that is where you go to. When you are resting and possibly you just want to, you want to have a rest, and as you take a rest, you can look at what is happening within your sector. What is the market intelligence in your sector, and what is it telling you? So another example, consumer two, an exporter conducting market research discovers that consumers in a target African market prefer smaller, affordable packaging, value convenience, respond positively to local relevant branding, and prefer multilingual labeling. By adjusting accordingly, okay, the product becomes more affordable, easier to distribute, and better aligned with purchasing behavior. And you can see this is an example of what product adaptation looks like. So you might find that you have a product here in Kenya, which can be sold in another market within the African countries, but then you need to adapt it to the market requirements of that country to be able to sell that product. So you need to look at the market intelligence available to you. You look, you discover, you make sure that you move through the processes of data, information, market intelligence. Then you adapt the product to the target market, and that is what will make you to succeed when you are exporting. So market intelligence is not just about collecting information. Its true value lies in transforming information into decisions that improve market entry success, competitiveness, compliance, profitability, and long-term export growth. Okay, so data or information by itself, which cannot help you to make a decision, cannot really be termed as intelligence. So you need to collect data from multiple reliable sources, and Keproba is one of the areas that you can rely on to collect, data sources, especially in terms of demand. You interpret, convert observation into strategic insight, then you validate, cross-check with trade data and buyer feedback, then you act. Okay, make timely evidence based on export decisions. So with that, now allow me to share with you examples of trade statistics, and how then now you can use trade statistics to convert it into intelligence and pursue a certain market. So on my screen, I have imports versus exports. This is a tool that helps us to derive statistics. I hope you can see it.
Not yet, Kelvin. You may want to bring down the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Or change the view to the web page here. Yeah, pretty well. As he puts that up, thank you, those who are posting concerns, and we are responding to that. Awesome. I think we are now ready for an illustration of the actual information as it is from our resources. And this will be very, very interesting. Over to you, Kelvin, to continue.
Thank you, Ruben. So on my screen, I hope, or on your screen, I have put up some trade statistics that I would want us to go through together. We have imports versus exports, and you can pull pull this data by regions. You can also pull this data by country. Okay, if you want now to understand the country very well. Before also, as I proceed, I would also want to enlighten the participants that when you look at the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, please look at in the context of the regional markets that are there. For example, in the African, within Africa, we have what you call trade blocks. Okay. For example, Kenya belongs to East Africa. Yeah. And then from there, we have Kenya also belongs to COMESA. Then we have Kenya also belongs to IGAD. Okay. All those are trade arrangements that are that have frameworks to support exporters to trade. So when you're looking at the African market, much as it is the entire 54 countries and it can be exciting, we advise exporters to look at the African market in the context of the regional markets that are in Africa. So for example, when you look at Kenya, where do we do well, especially in terms of exports? And I can tell you, East Africa is one of the best, actually is our leading export market. Okay. East Africa is very good for us. COMESA is also very good for us. Okay. But East Africa has about 8 countries. And in all these 8 countries, they represent an opportunity for exporters to trade. So looking at what we have on the screen, imports versus exports by region, you can be able to tell how Kenya is performing in terms of exports within in Africa. Okay, this is, for example, Kenya against Africa. And you can see there's a time series right from 2008 to 2015. So, for example, you could want to see the trend between 2017 maybe to 2025. Okay, or like I said, 3 to 5 years. Okay. And if you look at how Kenya has been performing in exports in Africa, you can see export value in Africa. Look at it. We exported goods worth 280 billion, okay, in 2021. So 280 billion in 2021. And the import value from the African countries is 222 billion, 155 million, 848,000. Yeah. So that tells you that, first of all, we have a positive balance of trade, which is good for us, yeah, as a country, especially when you look at economics. This represents an opportunity. And then when you see the trend from 2021 to 2022 to 2023 to 2024 to 2025, you can see there is growth from 280 billion to 339 billion in 2022 to 403 billion to 388 billion to 408 billion. Okay, so you can see export of Kenya in African countries has been increasing. What this then tells us is that there is likely to be an opportunity for exports, more exports for Kenya's businesses. And what do we export? Yes.
Kelvin, as you delve in, I want to just interrupt a little bit and ask that before you delve into Africa's details, just let the participants appreciate the trend for different regions, because in our purpose, in our very intention to delve into this Africa market, we have illustrated that our export versus import in this region is way beyond a comparison to other countries. So just illustrate from the region, the various regions, so that participants can appreciate how the red and the blue interchange. Remember, okay, basically what he's explaining is that the red is exports, as he has amply explained, and the blue is the imports. So you look at which market, which region has which trend, and that will help you to just see indeed that Africa is a place to go. Go ahead, Kelvin.
Okay, thank you. So that is Africa. Let's move closer home, East Africa. As you can see how I'm navigating, it's quite simple. You simply come here on this drop down and you come to East Africa, and now you'll be able to see the movement. Okay, so you can see again, East Africa, we are also doing very well in terms of exports. At no time have we imported more than we exported. We've always been importing, exporting more. Okay. So uh, if you check, for example, COMESA. COMESA. Apologies for that.
Yeah, as it loads, you can also load the different regions outside of Africa. For example, the Arab world. I think we have also for EU, so that we can compare the trend in terms of overall export import from Kenya, so that we just appreciate. Then we can now nail the substance you are explaining about why Africa. Thank you.
Okay. So apologies, I'm having some internet issues, but this is very important for participants to see that Kenya is really doing well in Africa, and therefore this should be a focus. Our focus should be exporting to Africa. So I started with East Africa. Yeah. So you see East Africa, the gap is even wider. Okay. And again, you can pull this up to whatever time that you want to compare. And you can see also we have also the products, the specific products that are exported within East Africa in this case. So you could also decide, check the Arab League and see. So you see, so when you go to the Arab League, you will find that our exports are actually lower than the import. We import more from the Gulf. Okay, Arab League more than we export. This could possibly explain because of what we import from those countries, maybe in terms of oil and other more valuable products. If you want also to navigate to the European Union, yeah, you can see. Okay, so what we really want to urge our participants is what this data shows is that there is opportunity in Africa. People mostly think of exporting to Europe and other parts of the world, when actually we have we have quite an opportunity here in Africa. Look at that. You see how data is changing, how it is moving. So this shows that there's opportunity for Kenyan exports within Africa, the African markets. And you can even now go further and look at the specific products that we export. Okay? You can see, for example, in COMESA, our leading export product is tea, followed by palm oil and its infractions, followed by cement, followed by petroleum oils, flat-rolled products, medicaments, sugar confectionaries. Okay? If you pull it to 2021, again, it shows you. You can see products like soap, organic surface active products. All these are products that are coming from Kenya, and they are being manufactured here in Kenya, and they are accessing their export markets within African markets, okay? And specifically COMESA, yeah? Now, you could also, if you now want to drill down to the specific country, so say, for example, you are interested in, these are member countries. For example, you're interested to Ethiopia, yeah? So now it brings you the products that we are exporting to Ethiopia and the products that we are importing from Ethiopia. And you can see, again, this is very interesting data because Ethiopia appears to have identified a business opportunity in Kenya, and they're exporting to us now. Okay, and so what are they exporting? If you want to know what Ethiopia is exporting, you come down here. But since that is not what we are interested, sorry, you simply look at the import value against the export value. But since you are interested in what we can export to Ethiopia, you look at the products that you are exporting here. And top of the products, we have insecticides, we have medicaments, that is in the pharmaceutical sector. We have even food preparations, okay? We have stoppers, caps, and lids. We have malt extracts, food preparation, ballpoint pens, live animals, palm oil, okay? So you can drill down this data into the specific country that you want to see how the demand is, how is it behaving, and then now you can also move forward to validate your data using research, okay? And because that can be a bit involving, you can come to our office and we can try to navigate through demand for a certain product in the target market that you want to export to, and we are able to give you actionable insights that you can use to make a decision whether you're going to enter into that market or not, okay? So data is there, information is there is more opportunity, and the aim of this webinar is to encourage, especially Kenyan exporters, that there is more opportunity for them in the African market. What you just need to do is to sit down, look at the data, look at the data in the context of the regions, how well we are performing, and then from there you move into the specific country. And then once you move into the specific country, you look at the demand, what is happening there. We can support you in developing, in assisting you in getting information on how distribution channels work in that target market. And we can also help you to know more information about pricing, to know more information about legal requirements, export requirements, import requirements into that country, and whether are Kenyans also exporting into that country. Because what we have also seen is that it is easier to export to a country where Kenyans are also exporting. So basically that is the whole idea. You can clearly see that we have, opportunity. There is opportunity for Kenyans to sell their products in African markets. What you need to do is seek the right market intelligence, and we are saying that we are here to support you in generating that market intelligence, and we can also support you in making a decision, to help you to make a decision, participate in trade fairs and events to help you to validate your information, and make sure that you have actionable insights for you to help you to export in the specific target market that you want. So allow me to, yes,
Go ahead,
Ruben?
go ahead, go ahead.
Allow me to share some presentation that is important on translating African market intelligence into actionable export strategy. So I don't know, can you see my presentation?
Now it is. Okay. Okay, you can now put it into presentation mode.
Okay. So access is not the problem. I think interpretation is, from our view. And what we need to understand as exporters or business people is, what does data mean? Understanding trends, understanding volumes, and market signals in context. Is this opportunity suitable for my business? And how do I convert information into decisions? So we just checked what trade intelligence platforms contain. But more importantly, what you need to exporters, what they need to evaluate is, if there is demand for your product in the target market, who is driving demand? And is the market already being served or saturated? And can you compete effectively? You need to answer these questions. And is the opportunity commercially viable? So high demand does not always mean the market suitability for your business. You need to answer all those questions. So you also need to find out, use the 4-lens framework to evaluate whether a market opportunity is genuinely suitable, not just statistically attractive. So market fit, consumer preferences and tastes. Am I able to, does the consumer preference and tastes, match the product that I'm offering? How is my packaging and labeling? Am I able to meet the packaging and labeling requirements of the target market? And the price point. Do not price yourself out of the market. Always have information on the price ranges of your products in the market. So competitive landscape, who are the existing suppliers? Do you have existing suppliers in that market? What is their market share? And can you differentiate your product from the product of your competitors? Then market access conditions, what are the applicable tariffs? Okay, are there tariffs that are applicable? For the case of Africa Continental Free Trade Area, we are moving to a zero tariff. The goal is to minimize the tariffs as much as possible. However, I need to mention that if you choose to trade with EAC, COMESA, IGAD, you should not experience tariffs. Okay. Market access conditions, applicable tariffs and duties. What are the sanitary and phytosanitary and quality standards in that market? Logistics and lead. How are the logistics and lead times? I will give you an example. We have received a lot of inquiries on export of meat into the DRC. And indeed, DRC is a promising market for Kenyan goods. But then one of the challenges that that market faces is the issue of logistics, okay? Now, look at a person who is exporting meat into that market. You must plan your logistics so well, because meat is a perishable product, to make sure that it arrives in that market and it arrives in good condition. Because if it doesn't arrive in good condition, then you'll not be able to sell it in that market, and that will be a loss. Okay? So very important. Market access conditions, especially logistics and lead times, are very important. Commercial viability. Is it profitable to operate in that market? Can I be able to price my products in a way that I have, profit margins that are sustainable for my business? Am I able to scale? Is there opportunity for me to scale my production into that country? And then we also have the issues of payment and risk conditions. How is payment in that country? In Africa, we are now seeing banks are facilitating payments, especially where we have local banks in our regions, in the region, then they are able to facilitate payment very smoothly. We are also seeing efforts from the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to facilitate payment through a platform called Pan-African Payment and Settlement Scheme. So payment is very important also to make a decision as to whether you're going to get into that market. So a growing demand for processed cassava products in the EU does not automatically suit every African exporter. You need to look at the standards that are required, for example, by that market. What are the volumes, and are you able also to supply consistently without challenges? And competition, how are you going to address the competition? Because in most cases, people don't look at the competition, of exporters who are supplying the same markets. So just strategic thinking on how to interpret market intelligence. Searching data is technical. Without interpretation, exporters chase unsuitable markets. So ability to interpret data and what it is telling you, market intelligence is very important. If you don't do that, resources are wasted on poor markets, exporters chase unsuitable markets, and decisions are made on incomplete logic. Interpreting data is very important, and it is strategic for your business. So with interpretation, markets are prioritized. You're able to know this is the most favorable market for me. This is not a market that is favorable for me, and so I'll not enter into that market. You are able to address the risks that come with exporting. Exporting comes with risks. It comes with payment risks. It comes with issue of disruptions. For example, political instability in a country can affect, your business. It comes with policy changes, So market intelligence should be able to give you all that information. You remember we talked about the different types of market intelligence and how you should employ them to make sure that you make the right decisions. So you're able to prioritize the right markets, you're able to manage risks, okay? Decisions become evidence-based, that you can tell the reason why I entered into this market is because of this and that, okay? So again, just to repeat, stage one, find the data. Stage two, understand, find the data, search the product, select market, view trends. And then you have the second stage where you understand the context, understand the environment where you want to export to the country, the business environment. And business environment is analyzed in many ways. We have various tools that can help you to do that. We can also support you in analyzing a business environment for your target market. Understand the context. Who is buying? Who is supplying? What are the conditions? Okay. Then assess your fit. Your fit here is basically derived from your strengths. What strengths of a business do you have to be able to export to that market? Can you meet standards? Is your product strong in terms of complying to standards? Can you compete on price? Are you able to compete on price? If your competitor in that market lowers their price, are you able to sustain your price in that market? Are you able to scale supply? Sometimes you can get an opportunity to do big business with your products. Then again, are you able to do that, to increase your exports into that market? Then stage four, make the decision, yeah? make the decision, you enter the market. Once you enter, your job is not done. You have to keep monitoring the trends, monitoring the environment, monitoring the customer preferences and how they are changing. Okay. If you are not impressed, then you need to think of or if it's not responding to your business expectations, you need to think of diversifying into another market, look into other available markets, because as we have seen, markets are there. Every export decision should move through all the 4 stages, and skipping any stage increases the risk of entering in an unsuitable market. Yeah. So the data that you should focus on when you're doing market research for your product. Look at the data points. Look at the imported volume and trend. What is the trend of the imported volume? Is it growing? Is it declining? Is it has it achieved its maturity level? So in the import volume, what you look for is growing, stable, or declining. Okay, and of course you should be able to check. You should be able to look at the growing. Yeah, you should be able to focus more on the drill down on the growing and see the opportunities that are there. Then we have why it matters. It signals market demand direction. Okay. Top supplying countries, you need to be who are the top supplying countries for the market that I want to enter? Is it concentrated? Concentrated meaning, does it have few exporters who are supplying a lot into that market? Or is it not concentrated? Basically, you have many suppliers supplying that market. And that can give you an insight, or it can help you to understand the intensity of the competition. If, for example, there are few suppliers of what you are selling into the market that you want to export, then you need to study the competition. The competition could be not so much, okay, because probably there is room for other people to get into the business. But if there are many suppliers in that market for the same product that you're exporting, then expect some competition, and you need to be good at your game. So unit import price, what is the pricing? These days we have data to show you that. Is the import price rising or is it falling? Indicates margin opportunity. So if the import price is rising, for example, then there is more likely to have a bigger margin for your product. But if it's falling, then there isn't. Your margins are likely to be lower. Then the tariff rates, is there a tariff preferential or standard? Basically, the target market that you're aiming, are there some tariffs or duties that you are likely to expect? In this case, like I have mentioned, our EAC market, our commercial market, we do not experience tariffs. So this could be more competitive for you to enter. Of course, this definitely affects your pricing and competitiveness, okay? Then market share shifts. Who are the new entrants? Yeah. In every business, there is always some new entrants who are coming in, and probably they come in to address major gaps that are in the market. For example, there is change in technology. Probably there is especially change in technology. That is the most key. There is opportunity, for example, in customer satisfaction. Customers are registering low satisfaction. So if your customers are not adequately satisfied, be sure that there is a competitor somewhere who is looking into that market and asking themselves, are they able to enter into that market and possibly compete with you or even outcompete you in the market? So this shows where opportunity is opening, okay? So I think we've looked at trade statistic questions trade statistic section where the question answered is there demand for my product in this market and is it growing? Market access tools, can I enter this market and what conditions must I meet? Reports and market briefs, what is the broader context, trends, risks, and sector outlook, and trade opportunities? Are there active buyers or tenders I can respond to right now? These are basically, if you are able to answer these questions favorably for your business, then it points to an opportunity in exporting. So, applying intelligence on the African export markets. African exporters face specific challenges that make interpretation even more critical, including preference erosion. Preference erosion is where, for example, now that we have trade agreements, what they do, they remove the tariffs. So what happens is that they eliminate the duties, and therefore what happens, countries that had an advantage because they were exporting to that country on zero duty, then they start facing competition from other countries also because they have the same terms. So non-tariff barriers, you need to check them. Non-tariff barriers comes in form of packaging, they comes in form of labeling, they come in form of market requirements. All those are things that you need to look at, and strong competition from established suppliers in Asia and Europe. Don't forget that Africa is also being served by other countries in Asia and Europe, which possibly could give you some competition. So use ACFTA data to identify intra-African opportunities. Like I said, regional markets, very important. Look at EAC, look at COMESA, look at IGAD, look at, cluster the markets, look at the markets around regional blocks that exist within Africa. Benchmark against top suppliers, not just demand figures. Understanding who you are competing with is as important as knowing what is in demand. Prioritize markets where you have standards advantage. Okay, compliance capability is a competitive differentiator, not just a cost. So compliance is very important. And we have an example of a South African macadamia exporter who, using trade data, identified that Vietnam was displacing traditional suppliers in the EU market. Okay, so when they identified that Vietnam is coming into the EU market and really displacing exporters in that market, what did they do? They decided to pivot to premium niche positioning rather than volume, competition. So you make your product be a premium product to survive in the market, and make sure that you have a specific niche that you are targeting. So trade intelligence is about decision making. At the end of the day, the reason why we want to have trade intelligence is to make better decisions. Okay. Do not embark on an export journey without understanding the market intelligence of your target market. So most successful exporters are not those who access the most data. They are those who interpret it correctly and act strategically. Okay, so find the data. Use the platform to locate relevant trade statistics and market access conditions. Interpret the context. Go beyond the numbers. Understand who, why, and whether it fits your business. And assess your fit. Apply the 4-lens framework of market fit, competition, access, and viability, and then you act strategically. Prioritize markets with evidence, reduce risk, and make decisions that last. So that's it from me. I want to encourage our participants to use our office, our first floor office in Anniversary Towers. Come in for business counseling. If, for example, you have a specific product and you'd want us to identify demand for it, please come. If you want us to look at the import requirements, please also come, and export requirements, the regulations that are there for you to access, and to see how we can support you to do your export business. We are open every day from Monday to Friday. That is at Anniversary Towers, first floor. Please walk in, say that you have come for business counseling, and you'll be able to be assisted accordingly. So with that, I want to stop at that, and I want to thank you so much for taking your time to listen to me. Asanteni sana. I think we can now move to answering questions. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. Well done. Well done, Kelvin. Well done for putting this together. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have seen for yourselves, and I've shared a link of the statistics as live as he was using them, so that you just look at the same statistics yourself. You can look at statistics for 1 year, for 2 years, for 10 years, and you can focus on a specific product that you're interested in. Because if you looked at those statistics and just zeroed in on a specific product, you'll see that actually there is a market for the product that you're dealing in. Because that listing was so long that my colleague could not scroll through from top to bottom. So have your time and just see. I know he highlighted tea being the premium product because it's at the very top, petroleum as the next product. But there are other usual products that you and I deal in. There is glue there is paint, there's fertilizer, there's maize and corn that is being exported to different countries. So zero in those statistics, just zero in on what your interest is and see that there is billions of Kenya shillings being sold to these markets. Something else I just need to make you understand also or appreciate is that Africa as a market, there are so many good reasons why it becomes an easy market for us, and that is why we need to take up this opportunity. My colleague has enumerated some of them, but just as a summary, if you look at the fact that Africa is where we are, meaning in terms of distance, you can quickly move to our neighboring countries and sell. You can easily pick a call and make a call to somebody who is in Uganda, who is in Ethiopia, who is in Egypt. You also appreciate that all the products that are sold here in Kenya can easily be sold to this region without a lot of restriction. Meaning, our neighbors ni kama sisi, if I was to speak in Kiswahili. Our neighbors ni kama sisi. The products that we are using, they can also easily use. Their mind in terms of getting our products are as receptive. My colleague mentioned also the ease of entry into COMESA, EAC, because these are regions that we already have. The platform has been negotiated. So if we have that already made, then we are not using. Imagine somebody will take advantage of these opportunities. Then we are left wondering, hey, kwani kumeenda aje? What has happened that we are not taking up these opportunities? And also even resolving issues. If there was a problem that has come up in a market you've gone to, let's say Tanzania, Uganda, those can easily be resolved by our government agencies that are there, as opposed to far off countries where we don't have an embassy, for example. Some of our embassies will be handling several countries, but in Africa, we have a fairly good representation for us to resolve things. That said and done, maybe a few of you may have encountered challenges here and there. That is not to say that these markets have issues or these markets are not welcoming us. Trade is just trade. Every country will want to a bit of size or limit what is coming in, even as we walk this journey of smoothening our relationship. The figures have said it. The figures have demonstrated that Africa is our market for us to go. So wherever you are, zero in on what you are dealing in. If you are struggling to understand which market exactly it is, come, as my colleague has said, come to us, come call us, post in go to our website, makeitkenya.go.ke. There is a place where you can leave an inquiry. You can write to us. I've shared our email address, which is for handling inquiries. It is inquiries@brand.ke. inquiries@brand.ke. I've shared it on the chat for you to quickly reach us. My colleague has just shared again. If you're in Nairobi, you can walk in anytime during working hours, and we shall indeed talk to you free of charge, because we want to assist you. We are here to serve you. We are here to just add value to what you're doing, so that we increase our exports, because that is how we shall grow as a country. So thank you so much for coming, and looking at the messages that have been coming through. I've endeavored to answer all of them. If yours has not been answered, I apologize, but we wish to say that the information, the email that I've just shared and my colleague has reshared, inquiries@brand.ke. We shall begin to answer personalized questions on anything that relates to export, because that is why we exist. This presentation and the entire of what we have shared is publicly available on our YouTube channel. I've also shared on this chat. You can go back and appreciate, but again, a link will be shared for you to just go through the same if you want to have a little bit more time to go through and just appreciate more. It will be shared to your email. But as I said, you are welcome to contact us through all the various means, whether physically or electronically, so that we can add value. Let us know any other area of concern. Let us know if we have answered your expectation. If you are keen on a country, especially in Africa, because today was very specific on Africa. If you're keen on a country and you want to get a little bit more in-depth, let us know, because we are here for that purpose. We are Kenya Export Promotion and Branding. So our agenda is realized when we have 1, 2, 3 more Kenyans sell more into the external market. So with that, I want to thank you for the feedback you have given. Thank you, Mercy, Gatere. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Jacqueline, for the same. Rachel, Asante. Lydia, you're saying, how can we link up to honest buyers of our products when we realize there is demand? I sell medicinal herbs and fruits and vegetables, but the market is full of frauds. Lydia, good. I'm just struggling whether to say yes or no, because the market out there is a representation of the society that we have. The market is not full of fraudsters. The market is just full of people who are natural. Just like Kenya here, we have a society of people that a few will be bad ones, a few will be opportunistic, but largely the majority of people who are there to buy are good. What you need to know is how to identify, how to do some quality controls, how to do due diligence. And maybe we can mount another forum for you to appreciate this, Lydia, and any other person. But as I said, people are just people. If you know how to pick the leads that can help you to identify whether this is a fraudster or not, then you are safe. But society is just that. Even in church, imagine we have a few people who will steal Sadaka, yet they are following God. So That does not mean you don't trade. As you have seen, Lydia and everybody else, the figures that we have just shared are in billions, not thousands. Millions, not millions, but billions. That means that indeed our products are being sold and money is being paid to the owners. That is to say that the world is not full of fraudsters, because if there are fraudsters, that money will not have come. It is possible that you've stepped on a few of such fraudsters, and you are most welcome. We engage so that you just need to know how to identify a genuine buyer so that you engage and don't burn yourself. Manjiku, asante for your feedback. Lydia, you've said about sharing. I think I've commented on that. Julius Mudhui, asante sana. We appreciate, asante. Right. Might you know when next to application? I think I've answered that. Good. Super. So as I said, we have shared the link to this. If you want to go through it pole, you're most welcome. If you want to recommend it to somebody else to just also partake of the same, you are most welcome. And for now, I want to request that we end there. And we wish each one of you a beautiful day, a beautiful adventure into export business. Business is just business. It has the risks, it has opportunities. Where the opportunities, there have to be risks. You just need to know how to go about to exploit the opportunities that are there. Otherwise, thank you so much, everyone, and have a beautiful remaining part of the day. God bless.